Hi, this is Zach Meir with the US stock highlights here on Share Talk for Wednesday, the 28th of April. Starting off with the toss of therapeutics and just trying to break the 200-day moving average, indeed the 50-day moving average around the $2.30 area. End of day close through 230 should be enough, either today, tomorrow, etc. Should be enough to take the shares up for a retest of that February peak there towards $5, and also that line of resistance, one of the sort of bicycle wheel spokes there from last summer on the daily chart, heading towards 450, so $4.50 to $5, perhaps as soon as the end of June on that. In terms of the stop loss, an end of day close back below today's key reversal low, which was $1.87, would actually cover it once we get our end of day close through $2.30. Stock which is one which is also looking quite constructive at the moment, if only on the basis of today's rally. It's been a gap through the 200-day moving average of, well, so far it's actually a gap and then a retracement, but at least while we're above the floor of the gap and yesterday's high at $1.95, we're looking for the upside, and we're looking for a retest of February resistance through $3. If you're cautious on the situation, which you might be after today's little spike and retracement, an end of day close through the 200-day moving average at $2.32 would hopefully do the trick and allow the shares to then retest the $3 area. Moving along to a stock, another one which is relatively obscure in this particular sort of video sweep that we do every day, a CAUS. Here we've got a situation where we're breaking that neckline resistance, mid-April neckline resistance there at $15.95. End of day close above that should be enough to take the shares initially to obviously the 50-day moving average at $17.11, and then the 200-day line just developing there at $19.34. So the time frame on the higher target there by the end of next month. Now going on to a stock which I have looked at before and has been a decent looking situation. Here we've got Ashford Hospitality Trust. The reason for the excitement here, I suppose, is that we're likely to get an end of day close back above that old December low there at $2.11. Above that, on an end of day close basis today, we should be looking at the combination of the 50 and 200-day moving averages at $2.87. That could be seen over the next couple of weeks, but the big picture target maybe by the end of next month through $4 for the shares, especially while they hold above the $1.90 area, as we've seen from that old December support area. Moving along to a stock which has been probably the most featured of the stocks here today in the recent past, which is pretty good given that Brooklyn is now a massive mover and a massive performer, so very proud of that. It's always nice to get these things right. The initial target here was down there at $15, but we broke the top of that rising trend channel. Currently we're looking for something rather better than that, and that would be towards the line of resistance I'm just drawing at the moment. That's currently pointing us to a target as high as $55 at that January resistance line projection, and we could see that by the end of next month. Clearly after the massive spike that we've seen over the last couple of days, there will be some retracement, but $55 there valid. And if you're trying to come up with a stop loss, then I suppose half of today's current range, which is around $22, would take us back down towards, I suppose, the low 30s in terms of the stop loss. But at the moment, we're riding high and just seeing how far Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics can go. Another regular rider here on the US stock highlights is BOXL Corporation. Perhaps not quite as dramatic as Brooklyn, but here we have broken through the resistance line there from February and the 50-day moving average at $2.51. While there's no end of day close back below that particular combination, we're looking for a retest of February resistance up towards $3.80 by the end of next month. Another bullish contender on its way, and takes the form of Clover Health Investments. Here we've got a situation where there's been a break, I suppose a sort of a slow break of the 50-day moving average. That's currently at $8.74. Probably at the moment, though, we're looking for an end-of-day close above that initial April peak at 10.57. If we can get that, then it's hopefully on to the top of that gap from the beginning of February towards $14 by the end of next month. But while we're above the 50-day line, looking for $14 for Clover Health Investments at the moment, and we'll see that ideally by, as I said, the end of next month. GSX is the next contender to grapple with. Here we've got a situation where it's a sort of rounded support area. What's exciting to this particular chartist is the way that we've gapped up off the lows. In fact, this is the second gap in the last week off the low, which is very impressive indeed. The ideal scenario is that while there's no end-of-day close back below the bottom of the gap at $32.55, we could see a move up towards the 50-day moving average at $62 as soon as the end of June, and if we're really lucky, by the end of May. So really quite special with the double gap off the lows for GSX. And let's see if it can live up to the expectation. Next up on the hit list for today is Aurora Mobile, which has bounced off the 200-day moving average around $3.07. At that time, the target was up towards the 50-day moving average of $4.70, and I think that should be something we should anticipate. The upside valid now, while there's no end-of-day close back below the floor of the gap, the overnight gap at $3.70. It's above $3.70, looking towards $4.70 plus. A big picture target maybe by the end of next month up towards $6.50, which was the last month's resistance for the shares that sort of double top through $6 that we had on Aurora Mobile. Another stock which is featured here reasonably frequently in the past over the last month or so has been Microvision. The reason for the initial interest here was the bounce off the floor of the rising trend channel from December. That was around the $10 level. Now, of course, we're looking at basically the bottom of the gap higher that we had, that level $19.14. While we're above that, looking for a retest of $28. The longer time frame target here as high as $50 by the end of June, which is a December resistance line projection. So above $19 or so, looking for as high as $50 via 28 in the near term. Going on to the last three, and probably the most famous stock here today is TLRY. And here we'll see that the shares trying to regroup after that rather painful decline from the early part of February. The view now is that an end-of-day close above recent neckline resistance and the sort of the floor of that gap that we had down at the beginning of the month, call that around the $18.50 level. While we're above $18.50, looking for at least the 50-day moving average at $22.50 plus over the next couple of weeks. So let's see how we go with that. On to a stock which is rather less high profile, UXIN or UXIN. Here we're looking at a situation where we've actually exceeded a previous resistance line target that we had for the shares around $2.75. The view now is that while we're above $2.75 on an end of day close basis, we're looking for a decent push higher. That should be at least retesting the old November 2019 peak at $3.80. And that should be seen by the end of next month, or perhaps the way things are going, rather sooner than that. Finishing off with another bullish, the final bullish contender of the day. We're looking at Unitil Corporation. Here you can see a classic gap to the upside after a saucer-type reversal for the shares. And the view now is that while there's no end-of-day close back below the top of the gap at $55.27, we're looking for a retest of the old February resistance up there at $65 plus as soon as the end of next month. At this stage, only really back below the pre-gap highs around the $51 level, really delaying the upside scenario. But ideally, one would be trading against the $55 level, which is today's intraday low on an end-of-day close basis. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.